through the holy breath of God, we can attain oneness with God. I hope that all of you have seen the podcast of my interview with Dennis Willett a few weeks ago. It was wonderful. And Dennis teaches breath work. When I was meditating yesterday on what I could share today during our service, or what the masters would like, I felt the Holy Spirit come, and I looked on my bookshelf in our basement, and there was a book that I'd never read, actually called The Hindu Yogi Science of Breath by Yogi Ramacharaka. So this is an excellent book. It was composed originally in 1903, and the version I have is copyright 1904, 1905, and 1932 by the Yogi Publication Society. So some of the chapter headings: Salam, breath is life, the exoteric theory of breath, the esoteric theory of breath, the nervous system, nostril breathing versus mouth breathing, the 4 methods of respiration, how to acquire the yogi complete breath, physiological effect of the complete breath, a few bits of yogi lore, the 7 yogi developing exercises, 7 minor yogi exercises, vibration and yogi rhythmic breathing, phenomena of yogi psychic breathing, more phenomena of yogi psychic breathing, and finally yogi spiritual breathing. So I've read about a third of the book, and I'd like to focus a little bit on nostril breathing versus mouth breathing. The author, Yogi Ramacharaka, really disses mouth breathing because he said we're meant to breathe through our nostrils. And he shares how bad it is really at night when we sleep to breathe through our mouth. And then many people have problems with snoring as a result and apnea. So Boyd can play about a 2-minute little video that I found on the internet of a way to be able to breathe through your nostrils at night while you sleep. So we'll play this right now, which I think is really important for marriages and relationships, or if you'd like a relationship. So we'll play this. It's less than 2 minutes. That's the first thing. Now, when I was asking the Maha Chohan about this book and what I've read, which is fantastic, one of the key elements in this book is to talk about prana, which is also called chi. And I believe that prana is so important for us to understand as we learn how to do deeper breathing, pranic breathing, and to do full yogi breathing, which the author gets into. So to me, prana is pure, radiant, angelic, natural, auric breathing. Pure, P, radiant, R, angelic, A, natural, and auric, A, breathing. And we can access very concentrated and high or very high spiritual prana when we learn to do the yogic breathing techniques that engage us not in just the upper chest area or even the upper diaphragm, the whole system. So the author gets into how to do this. And of course, it is not through breathing through the mouth, it's breathing through the nose. Because the nostrils are necessary to purify the air that goes into the lungs, which then helps to purify the blood when the blood flows from the heart to the lungs and then is sent back to the heart to then go to the body and nurture the body. This is so important because we take our breathing for granted unfortunately, in this day and age, the atmosphere is not completely pure anymore, especially because of chemtrails and what's in the atmosphere. And so breathing near plants is very, very helpful outdoors, especially around evergreen trees and other deciduous trees, but especially evergreens, because they put out a special aura that and a concentration of prana that is very helpful and very healing. Many, many times during soul-raising sessions, the Holy Spirit has told people to breathe deeply, even for 3 times a day for 3 to 5 minutes, and preferably to go outside and breathe around trees, and especially around evergreens, because we know the science of trees and how they put out this beautiful oxygenated air that our system requires, even as we exhale carbon dioxide, which the trees feed on, right? So it's a symbiotic relationship that is very awesome, and God created this beautiful matrix for nature and the interaction of man with nature for our healing and for nature to have what nature requires to regenerate us. So in this book, I'd like to read just a little bit because I think it's so crucial for us to take up this science. This section is called the Yogi Complete Breath. Yogi Complete Breathing includes all the good points of high breathing, mid breathing, and low breathing, which I'm not reading those sections, but it has to do with whether you're breathing from the clavicle, this area, or the midsection of the lungs, or the low breathing has to do with more of the diaphragm, which singers know all about, because when you breathe from there, you access a lot more power. So I'll repeat this. Yogi Complete Breathing includes all the good points of high breathing, mid breathing, and low breathing, with the objectionable features of each eliminated. It brings into play the entire respiratory apparatus, every part of the lungs, every air cell, every respiratory muscle. The entire respiratory organism responds to this method of breathing, and the maximum amount of benefit is derived from the minimum expenditure of energy. The chest cavity is increased to its normal limits in all directions, and every part of the machinery performs its natural work and functions. One of the most important features of this method of breathing is the fact that the respiratory muscles are fully called into play, whereas in the other forms of breathing, only a portion of these muscles are so used. In complete breathing, among other muscles, those controlling the ribs are actively used, which increases the space in which the lungs may expand, and also gives the proper support to the organs when needed. Nature availing herself of the perfection of the principle of leverage in this process. Certain muscles hold the lower ribs firmly in position, while other muscles bend them outward. Then again, in this method, the diaphragm is under perfect control and is able to perform its functions properly and in such a manner as to yield the maximum degree of service. In the rib action above alluded to, the lower ribs are controlled by the diaphragm, which draws them slightly downward, while other muscles hold them in place, and the intercostal muscles force them outward, which combined action increases the mid-chest cavity to its maximum. In addition to this muscular action, the upper ribs are also lifted and forced outward by the intercostal muscles, which increase the capacity of the upper chest to its fullest extent. If you have studied the special features of the 4 given methods of breathing, you will at once see that the complete breath comprises all the advantageous features of the 3 other methods, plus the reciprocal advantages of accruing from the combined action of the high chest, mid-chest, and diaphragmatic region, and the normal rhythm thus obtained. In our next chapter, we'll take up the complete breath in practice. So the next chapter is about how to acquire the yogi complete breath, which I will not read today. Boyd will also put a link to a video of a gentleman reading this entire book. So you can actually go online in YouTube, and with that link, listen to the entire book. I highly recommend it. Early on in the book, there's some terminology that is a little bit older, and I think it's fine because you can get kind of the sense of what they knew back in the early 1900s, and with the developments in science, different words are used today than maybe were used back then. Yet it's still an ancient science from the Orient, from the Far East, of these yogis, which I believe will benefit us greatly as initiates to draw more energy into our auric field, into the chakras, and we'll be able to project light better if we have a greater capacity to draw prana into our system and utilize it to glorify God and to sing better, to actually project through our singing light and waves of energy. So when you hear a phenomenal tenor or a soprano singing an aria where they have complete control of their diaphragm and their lungs and their breath, it's amazing to see how they can hold their breath for a long period of time and hold a note for 20, 30 seconds. And this takes power, it takes energy. And they have developed this ability over many, many years of practice and a lot of diaphragm breathing. So in our Heart Center, we sing a lot of songs. Mother Mary has told us to sing our songs, and that singing our prayers as songs. And we've heard that they're 3 times more powerful when we sing a prayer than if we just give it. Now, why is that? Because we're engaging more of our diaphragm and the power that can flow through our voice and our lungs and the heart chakra, especially, and the solar plexus when we sing, because we're drawing more breath through our system and we're engaging with more prana. So I believe that the prana is the key to why singing our prayers has become very powerful and why the masters have asked for this, Mother Mary in particular. The Maha Chohan states that through the holy breath of God, we can attain oneness with God. Through the holy breath, we can attain oneness with God, because God is spirit, right? God is pure spirit. We are pure spirit in our higher self. When we breathe deeply, affectionately, we have inspiration through our respiration. We have inspiration through our breathing. We take in more prana, more chi, more the aliveness of the Holy Spirit's omnipresent grace and energy. And in the communion that comes through pranic breathing and meditation, and gentle breathing and meditation, yet profound breathing, we can enter states of divine bliss, even ecstasy, and through that ecstasy, oneness. I believe that when we start a meditation practice with some gentle yet deep, profound breathing, we can have better meditations, more profound experiences of downloads from our divine self as required, maybe closer to the end of our meditation, because, we get inspiration through the breathing, right? We get downloads of information, of revelation, of teaching from our higher self or from the ascended masters, divine beings, even angels. And the breathing is so important because it allows that inspiration to occur. It is the nexus for inspiration through respiration or divine respiration. I believe that having a practice of daily, deep profound breathing is essential for initiates to reach the next level and the next level and the next level of divine attainment, and of reaching higher and higher states of even cosmic bliss, cosmic love. If Christopher were here, he would say yay. And the oneness that comes when the magic of the breath of God enters the equation of our daily lives, where mystically, magically, even miraculously, we attain that state of holy grace through that oneness, where we feel God's eternal presence vibrating right within our aura, especially in the heart, the lungs, the solar plexus, the chest cavity, the whole area of the diaphragm. There is a relationship between the solar plexus and the heart that is very powerful through pranic breathing and deep diaphragmatic breathing that energizes the lungs and the heart, where the purification of the blood occurs and where all the systems of the body are nurtured by the blood. So when we engage in this pranic breathing, it is one of the greatest health practices we can engage in, along with drinking pure, unadulterated, preferably artesian and or spring water. The masters many times through me and soul-raising sessions have also told people, don't drink tap water, don't drink even the reverse osmosis water. We think that that's pure, yet Anthony William has shared that it's not. It's not the greatest water. The best water is spring water or deep artesian water, where the water has been purified through the natural filtration process of going through the earth and especially like lava and things like that, where the impurities are removed from the water. And so you have this beautiful, fresh, living water. That's what we desire. So through the fresh, pure air, fresh, pure water, we can rejuvenate virtually anything in our body system, the Holy Spirit says. And then you add the element of the light of the sun, and those three are the three magic practices, solar breathing, solar gazing, and being in the sun and nature, drinking fresh, pure water, and breathing that prana, that chi, throughout the entire system, where we energize every cell of our being. This is so crucial. So if you have a disease, let's say you have a cancer, have you engaged in deep pranic breathing on a regular basis, 2 to 3, preferably 3 times a day, 3 to 5 minutes? Try it. See what happens. Breathe in the morning after you awaken before you get out of bed. Just do 1 to 3 minutes of slow, deep breathing. Watch how your day changes. Watch how you feel a new life energy in your being. You feel quickened. You feel resurrected. You feel replenished. You feel rejuvenated. It is such a powerful thing. I think that at our core, many of us have been yogis in other lifetimes. We've actually practiced this. And in the West, it's not taught, from birth like it is in India and the Far East. It's just so natural. The yogis are everywhere, and they're teaching even young children, how to do this and engage in this science. So finally, the Maha Chohan shares that when we add the component of Surya to the equation, as the master Omar Mikhail Ivanov has said that Surya Yoga would replace all the other yogas in the age of Aquarius, the solar yoga, the sun yoga. That is where the sun is energizing us through even the highest prana of fire, and then beyond fire, ether, or what prana really is ether, in my opinion. So it's the higher fire and prana, or chi, of the fifth element that the sun projects and actually initiates us over and over and over again as we associate with the sun, as we as we merge with the sun in our consciousness, and we live in the sun. We are the sun. We just sang, I am the sun. So we live, move, and have our being within our sun presence, our solar presence, our I am presence. And that yoga is so crucial to developing cosmic consciousness, developing all of the higher senses, the 5 higher senses, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairgustance, clairsentience, and clairaudience, and allowing us to actually live the initiatic path as a master in the making, becoming a master of our thoughts, feelings, words, deeds, everything in our life. I believe that we are in the Heart Center community really yogis at heart. Because what is yoga? A form of union, to yoke ourselves to God. That's mentioned at the beginning of this book, what yoga means. We yoke ourselves, we become one with God. That's our purpose. So I've shared elements of this in the past. This book is over 125 years old now, or over 120 years, and it's got keys in it that I think can benefit all of us, because those of you who have engaged in pranic breathing and actually worked on this for years and years, you know exactly what I'm speaking about. You have experienced these higher states of awareness that come because part of you has reunited with God within yourself, your higher self, through the process of sublimating the ego and elevating the divine id within yourself.